So while he was making noise, these crazy bills were being passed. These thicker laws have been introduced, and we're focused on his shenanigans and not paying attention over here.
Right.
And so, like W.E.B. Du Bois had this thing called above the veil. It wasn't like opening the veil. It wasn't looking underneath the veil. It's like I'm above it. I understand it. I see it, and I recognize it, and we'll call it for what it is. So it's like that's how I move, like intentionally, freedom, like I'm talking about now. Bigger, but realizing the bigger has to do with our community as a whole.
I was on The Boys season 8, 2014, 2015. And while on the show, it was a great experience. However, when I came home, because I'm the top 20 finalists, one of the top 20 finalists, when I came home, I felt I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't. And when you brought the word up intentionality and you brought the word up bigger, there was something shifted within my household at the time. And I saw this pastor, and he made this statement. He said, we have to learn to believe big and pray bold. That has stayed with me, right? And so I'm big. I believe big and I pray bold. And I'm the inspiration from that led to me seeing the mental work I needed to do for myself on mental health. I'm big on mental health. And I feel that flowers, even that trigger that I talked about, I've learned to heal from that now because I've received, several dozens of flowers and love all of them. However, there's still some that speak to me more than others. And looking at what I looked at one of your pieces, it was this nuance of kids, and I talked about multi-generational, which I love how you teach your students to give back, because being in education, when you are able to see your students doing what you do and even better, it is so it's so rewarding, because I find myself looking back at my students and saying, "Oh, you taught me how to teach you." And now you're teaching me how to do something that you learned from me while you learn from another person that you taught. So the continuation of teaching intentionally continues. Right. And so what I found myself doing was looking at the shift that took place in my formal marriage, the shift that took place in my music, the mental health aspect of that for me, what I need to do for myself. How do I relate that in my music? And I keep going. I don't know why flowers are so prevalent and present in my creation. It's either flowers or candles. Don't know spiritually which ancestors trying to tell me something. Right. And that one.
Do you have an altar?
I have two. Okay. I do. Come on, Spirit.
All right. So you do altar.
I have two. Yeah. And it, on both of them are sunflowers. Never look at the origin of sunflowers. However, on the both of them, one in my room has my grandmother, my uncle, both of my grandparents, my uncle, and then my firstborn, who's my ancestor. Okay. She's on there, right? And then the other altar, it's those mentors and cousins, and Uncle Frankie's on there, right? And also just ancestors who I never met their name. Peppermints. A piece of cotton. These things are on my money. These things are on my altar. And so I find myself now, what my parents didn't teach me, not because they didn't want to, it's because they didn't understand it. And I find myself now helping them to understand who they are and why they were called while still learning. Because my mom recently saw her mom and daddy. My mom is 70. She gonna kill me. My mom is 76.
I think she would kill you for saying her
because she'll tell people I'm young, But my mom, she called me one day. She said, "My mom and daddy came to see me." I said, "How did you feel?" She said, "I wasn't scared of them. I was just surprised of how big they were." I said, "Well, how big were they?" She said, "Tiny. They were giants, and they had on cowboy hats." So my grandfather's a Choctaw Indian from Mississippi, Claiborne, Mississippi. Okay. My great-grandmother, his mother, used to go in the woods. They used to call her a witch because they didn't understand her, right? And so all of this that I'm now discovering being able to be creative in that while still dealing with the hypocrisies that's happening around the world. So knowing all of this is happening, because I know you talked about when you're teaching, you're focused on intentional teaching, you silence everything. How does that silence, while still sometimes hearing the noise that's happening around the world, we have Trump coming back in office. How does that relate to you when you're creating?
The noise is definitely turned off. There is music in the studio or an audiobook. There has to be some sound in the studio. So I have to do that. But I'm always aware of what's going on outside. But like, it's easy to look at my studio as a man cave, but it is more of a creative space that inspires and is welcoming. And it's like, I can't get people to leave when they come by. I'm coming by for an hour, and then 3 hours later, it's like, when are you leaving? Because I've intentionally created a space that's safe, but also I think it garners sort of amount of need to create or need to see things differently, need to think differently. And I think that's really important to me. And that's why even as a mentor or teacher, it's like, really, it's all been done, but it can be done differently. Like we talked about it initially when you first came in, because I really was talking about it with Jared before you got in, was Kendrick Lamar. And it's like, I am so creatively inspired by creative people.
Yeah.
But how does someone take words that everybody has access to and do something completely different with them? And it's like, in listening to this man, like in the last album, it's like I listened to this song daily several times, still trying to figure out, it's like reincarnate. I listen to that song saying, ooh, and what is it about? And every day I get a different thought and feeling. I'm like, I want my art to do that. Somebody's look at this piece and say he's angry, and then look at it closer and say, no, it's not anger. And like when you talked about flowers, it's like initially we talk about like your experience about that, the rose, right? But it's like flowers are used for both celebration,
Right.
and honor and gifting, but it's also for mourning. And so I've seen it so many different ways. I found at one point, because also the decision to move away from them, I use it as a form of protection. You know, it's like, I'm not going to address other things. This is my comfort. This is my safe space. I'm going to stay here.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's no longer good to stay there. Now it's time to figure out what else you can do. And it caused me to challenge myself mentally and emotionally. And stomach. A lot of my stuff comes from it.
Yeah. You
I had to listen to it. In fact, weird story. Weird fact. My doctor said it was weird too. It's easier to tap into my pulse and my abdomen than in my heart.
Wow.
It's a weird experience. Like, you can put pressure just below my rib cage and you can feel my heartbeat. Wow. Easier than you can tap into here. And I say, is that normal? She says, no, it's not normal. But then I also am very, I have a strong belief that we, Black people, are aliens. And that we came here to change things. And those that saw this and feared this shackled us, shut us down. But anywhere you travel in the world, it could be no Black or very few Black, you can see we've been here.
Yeah.
And you can see they may have co-opted it and call it now part of their culture, or part of their belief, or their music, whatever it might be. It's like, nah, it's African.
Yeah.
I can see it's African. I can hear it's African. So you can call it whatever you want to. We're still there.
We've been here. Right.
And see, I have it was before COVID, but we were in South Africa and we went to an art show. And I turned to my wife at one point because it was all from the continent, this art show. And I said, babe, Black is universal. And so I came back and had a t-shirt made just for myself and gifted it to friends saying that, Black is universal. And then I'm doing a artist talk or something one day. I'm wearing my black shirt and a Karen comes onto my Instagram and says, I love what you're saying, but your shirt is really offensive. And I'm like, oh. And so my first thought was to respond and say, oh, I'm sorry. When you said Black, you saw Black, you thought I meant the race Black?
Right.
I'm talking about the color Black. I'm an artist. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I would. But before I could, they jumped on Karen.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? Why should I apologize for being proud who we are. And if you feel offended
Right.
or uncomfortable with that, that's your problem.
That's your in the book of Kendrick Lamar. That's about that's one of the things. I'm a huge fan. He says, I'm sensitive. I feel everything. I feel everybody. One man standing on 2 words, heal everybody. He talks about that. That's in the Mother Sober record. And he talks about him being a person, feeling all the pains of his family, feeling everything from community to world.